Please subscribe.
What happened to the once adorable Lexus RX? Is a third row of seats a betrayal of what the RX has been and should be? Or is it the embodiment of what it always was destined to become? Such are the epistemological dilemmas that arise with the arrival of the 2018 Lexus RX 350L. The original RX 300 appeared as a 1999 model and changed the world with its cuddly mix of SUV-ish utility and a creamy, Toyota Camry-derived V6 drivetrain. The ambiguous term crossover was created to explain the RX 300. Now the world has been recreated in its non-threatening, family-friendly, near-luxury image. The original RX was a big darn deal. This latest RX, on the other hand, has become a big darn crossover. The last first-gen RX 300 we tested, an all-wheel drive 2001 model, was 180.1 inches long, had a 103.1-inch wheelbase, and weighed 4,023 pounds. The new RX 350L tested here, a front driver, stretches 196.9 inches from stem to stern, sits astride a 109.8-inch wheelbase, and weighed 4,487 pounds according to our scales. By Lexus's numbers, the all-wheel drive version weighs an additional 155 pounds. That 196.9-inch overall length is 0.7 inch longer than an Acura MDX, but the Acura rides on a 0.2 inch longer wheelbase. The RXL is still smaller than, say, a Mazda CX-9. But the gap between them has shrunk. To stuff a third row into the RX, Lexus engineers added 4.4 inches of length behind the rear wheels and redesigned the roof to sustain its height over the rearmost seats. But they did not change the wheelbase. And since the wheelbase is the same, the aft pair of doors are not any longer than those of the standard RX. The window frames on the rear doors are slightly tweaked to work with the taller roof, but squeezing past the rear wheel well to access the third row of seats is a challenge even for a modestly large 10-year-old. The second row seats will move forward to help actual adults get back there, but what are they going to do with their legs once seated? Lexus claims there's 23.5 inches of legroom in the third row, versus 28.1 inches in the Acura, but if the second row occupants aren't cooperating by scooting their seats forward, actual legroom is virtually non-existent. The third row seats are good only for occasional use by small children. From a strictly utilitarian perspective, then, the stretched version of the RX is a life-stage vehicle. It's fine for those few years when you will occasionally need to accommodate surplus tots for things like birthday parties at bowling alleys or when there's just no way to get out of chaperoning the kindergarten field trip. But once the kids reach the point where they're old enough to complain and make arguments, there won't be any gentle way to shove them into those wayback seats. Timed right, that point will arrive just as the lease on the RXL expires. There are separate climate controls and vents for third-row passengers. That additional oxygen may keep them from getting lightheaded as blood circulation to their legs is cut off. And it may even compensate for the third row being vinyl-covered while the other seats are wrapped in genuine dead cow skin. With the third row up, there's only 7 cubic feet of cargo space available, a measly single cube for each of the 7 people who can theoretically be aboard and 8 cubes less than what's behind the MDX's third row. That in mind, there is 23 cubic feet back there with the third row folded, and that's up from 18 in the 2-row RX. And when both the second and third rows are down, the cargo hold expands to 58 cubic feet, 2 cubes better than the regular strength RX. 2 cubic feet ain't much, but it may be just enough to squeeze in one more toy poodle. If you're into toy poodles, that may be critical. The mechanical substance of the RX 350L hardly differs from that of the regular RX 350. That means it's powered by the same 3.5-liter V6 found in many Toyota and Lexus models. Somewhere, potentially in the slightly longer exhaust system, 5 horsepower was lost. What is a 295 horsepower V6 and the RX 350 becomes a 290 horsepower V6 and the RX 350L. If you're planning to go drag racing in your new RX, stick with the 2-row version. Front-wheel drive is standard on the RX 350L, while all-wheel drive is a $1,400 option. There's also a hybrid model, the RX 450HL, which has 308 horsepower and all-wheel drive. In our recent test of an all-wheel drive, 2-row RX 350, it huffed and puffed to 60 miles per hour in 6.9 seconds and completed the quarter mile in 15.3 seconds at 92 miles per hour. This front-drive RX 350L did those same deeds in 7.1 seconds and 15.5 seconds at 92 miles per hour. The 8-speed automatic transaxle never does anything untoward, but there's a softness to its shifts that adds an element of laziness to the driving experience. A touch of mechanical engagement would be appreciated. Wearing 235/65 or 18 Bridgestone Ecopia HL 422 plus all-season tires, the cornering limits here are modest. The 0.78 gram skid pad number doesn't reflect the wallow that defines the RX 350L's handling. Braking from 70 miles per hour comes in at a so-so 183 feet. This isn't a vehicle that bites into corners so much as it nibbles at them as if it's gnawing the crusts off a PB&J sandwich. The RX 350L always seems as if it would be much happier parked, or at least moving in a straight line. The original RX 300 had an easygoing friendliness to it that has been progressively drained from the RX over its 4 generations. This current RX, introduced as a 2016 model, has a harshly faceted brutalism to its design that runs counter to its otherwise gentle personality. Toyota and Lexus should have the confidence to restrain their stylists. As with all the vehicles in this class, the RX 350L can be stuffed with the technology that buyers demand, like cameras all over the place, radar monitoring distances and speeds, and a power liftgate. No competitor in this segment would dare be left behind when it comes to tech and feature load. That said, the RX feels a bit dated. With companies like Volvo and Tesla leading the way, touchscreens and digital displays have reset the standard for how drivers interact with their vehicles. The RX's conventional instrumentation and odd little mouse-like thing for controlling its center screen seem archaic and goofy. And how can Apple CarPlay and Android Auto continue to be unavailable? The RX 350L is spookily quiet, always comfortable, and still a useful suburban appliance. But it should be more engaging and up-to-date, and it needs a touch of whimsy to add in some fun. Lexus prices the RX 350L at $4,400 more than the regular RX 350. That's $44,265 for the base RX 350 and $48,665 for the RX 350L. That's a big premium for what is only marginal additional utility. The Lexus RX changed the world. Now it has to catch up to the world it has made.